Hi everybody, and welcome to the Stitching Adventurer. My name is Jackie, and I'm called the Stitching Adventurer because I love to stitch and I like to take that stitching on adventures. Right now I'm a little bit homebound and will be probably for the next till next fall, or maybe even a little later, because my camper van is gone. I was having too many mechanical problems with it. Excuse that. And that noise, garage right outside, so my brother has a business out there, so my apologies. So the camper van was having so many different mechanical problems that I got rid of it. It was just keeping me in a money pit. So I have my motorcycle, but I can't take my two dogs on an adventure with my motorcycle. But I may take you on some motorcycle road trips, like day trips, because I want to get out if I can get to where I can walk better. I'm having some medical treatment right now. I would love to get into doing some day hiking again, but we're going to see if that happens or not. But in the least, I'll get some day road trips out, and I'll put links to that whenever I have those available. Now, without further ado, I want to talk about my 2026 further evolving stitching plans. And I'm talking about my cross stitching here, not my slow stitching or any of that. That's separate. My whole whip parade, and that just didn't work out because I'm just kind of changing my format a little bit this year. So how I have decided to do it instead, and like I say, I have filmed multiple times trying to get the time down on it, include what I think I needed to be in there. So I'm going to cut out a lot about the life happenings and things like that. And I'm going to get straight to talking about my new stitching schedule. I'm going to be stitching 3 hours in the morning and then 3 hours every evening. And this is pliable. The schedule is pliable because it's kind of an experiment. And but that's the way I'm going to be doing it. And my other crafts, getting things done around the house, things like that will happen other times of the day. It's just that stitching, I like to do it during the quiet times of my day, which are morning and in the evenings. And so that's where it works out best for me to do it. And I want to stitch a lot. That's my plan. So this is a way that I can do it. Now, I'm going to kind of talk as best I can and then show you the projects that I'm going to be doing. And I'll talk about an exception for the month of March when I get to that project. Okay, I will be doing every morning something that some people a strand of thread a day, maybe 2 strands a day, but on the average 1 strand a day for this project. And I'll be doing this 7 days a week in the morning while my coffee's brewing, that kind of thing. And it will be something small all the time. And so they're going to get done relatively quickly, even with just a strand or 2 strands a day. And this is, I'm going to be working on these bookmarks by Nikki's Creations. And these are called bookmark samplers, so they're little miniature samplers. Even though the pattern has 3, I'm actually going to be doing 4. He is a male who is a very avid reader, and I don't think he would enjoy the sewing theme. Even though we have, thankfully, more and more males coming into this kind of thing and bringing us their talents, he just really loves to read. So what I am going to do is, these are sewing themed, so I'm going to remove the scissors, and then I'll probably take one of the blue motif over here. And it might be that I can only fit in 1 line of that. We're going to see when this all happens. But I'm going to try to fit in 2 lines. The other difference that I'm going to be doing, this fabric originally called for something called a 32 count antique rose fabric. I don't know who that would have been made by, but that's who what it was called for. And or a 14 count Aida cloth. What I am going to be doing is doing this on a 28 count DMC. So that would go along with the Aida cloth. It just would not go along with the 32 count that she brought up in there. So mine may be a little bit bigger. I mean, if you're using the Aida cloth, it wouldn't be, because 28 count is pretty much the same as 14 count Aida. So I don't know, but we're going to see. They may slightly be a little bit bigger than this. The pattern says they will turn out 4.79 inches wide by 6.19 inches wide. They're 90 by 80 stitches, I believe. And it only takes 5 colors. I'll be doing this in the called for DMC threads. But once again, I'm using this Aida count, and I started one of them. Can't remember which one it was, so I'm going to have to start over again. So anyway, and I'm using, as I said, things from my stash, which is actually a mixture of DMC and another off brand that really looks pretty nice, I think. It's called AIRO is the brand that's on there. I think that's an A. Yeah, AIRO. And what it is I bought, I try to buy economically as best I can, and I bought a stitcher's stash who was kind of retiring from stitching. And she had almost a full set of DMC, and that was the main reason I went for it. But she also included all these others in addition to the DMC that had DMC numbers, but they were another brand. And so I've been using them and comparing them to the DMCs, and there really hasn't been any difference that I could see, other than maybe they're a little bit more cantankerous when it comes to stitching. I think they knot a little bit easier. But they have a nice sheen, everything. Just in case I do use a thread conditioner on them, though. All right. So there is our every Monday. Every day of the week, I'm sorry. Now, every Monday will be 2 sessions. Monday in the morning for 3 hours. Monday in the evening for 3 hours. And I'm going to work on the same project, a mini. Now, and I'll do it in the morning and in the evenings. And for right now, their minis are smalls. I'm going to be doing, they're called People Pillows by Mrs. Prims. And she has a set of them that are patriotic. Betsy Ross, there's a couple of different Martha Washingtons and a couple different George Washingtons. So I am starting with those. I'm going to start with the Betsy Ross. And then I'll gradually work on those through July. And then after July, I will be starting on some others that I'll show you at that time. And right now, what I will do is I will put in, these are PDF patterns that I bought off of Etsy. And so what I will do is I will put in a video picture of these patterns starting right here. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little brief slideshow. I know that I don't know how to fix the programming on this editing software to where it doesn't do that up and down with those videos. I've got to figure that out. But I'm hoping you saw enough to see what it is that I'm doing. And I will tell you a little bit more. I don't know what fabric I'm going to use on those yet. I think that I have them in something that's going to work in my stash. And I'm not certain yet, but I think I do. And I'm pretty sure I have the called fors in it. So I should be able to get started on those on Monday, which is, though, in April. Because I'm doing something else in March, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So what I'm telling you about is this is a schedule that will not be the same in March because of some catch-up work I need to do. But once that catch-up work is done, this is the schedule that I'm showing you, the schedule that I'm on. So Monday and morning and evening, I will be doing that. Now, after that, I will be going to a Tuesday through Friday schedule where I will have a focus every morning. Now, once April comes around, this is what I will be doing in that place. And this is a pattern that I bought years ago for $1 at a thrift store. It's kind of, and it's by From Design Works. Here it is. And it's called Cherry ABCs. As best I can tell, the designer is Ursula Michael because that's who holds the copyright. So I'm assuming that's who the designer was. And you can see it's just going to be a red sampler. It's all about cherries. Here's the top border. I've got that border completed. Then I've got A, B, C, and D, and I'm working on the E, little E right here. And that's as far as I've gotten. Now, it came with a stark white fabric and the red thread. I don't know what brand the red thread is, but I dyed the fabric. I don't remember if at the time I dyed it with coffee or tea, but it kind of looks like coffee, but I'm not certain. So here is the thread. And it's not a name brand, but I will tell you that the pattern instructions recommend you to rinse it out and dry it several times to get any, so that no red dye would leak out of it. So that could give us a hint. Now, let me show you the actual piece. And I really like it. It's fun to stitch. I don't know why I haven't gotten further on it. I did have to take out a lot out of this border, and you can see if you look close at it that there are imperfections in that it still should have some more work, but I have decided I'm going to leave them. I'm not that unhappy with it. And then the ABCs so far I think are correct. Like I say, I am down, and I really like them. I think it's a pretty type of font. And then here is where I'm working on the E. So you can see I've got a long way to go. There's the rest of the border. And then down here. And that's a 14 count Aida. And it didn't give the color on the pattern, but it was a stark white. And I decided in that I would like a little bit more color. Okay, so that will be, once April comes, my regular focus fabric until it's finished. This will be every Tuesday through Friday each week. It's going to be worked on each one of those days for 3 hours. So 3, 6, 9, 12 hours out of the month, out of each week. That should get it finished pretty quickly, I would think. Now, every Tuesday through Friday evening, I'll be doing what I call a sew-along. Some of them are sew-alongs that I created by myself, and others will be sew-alongs with a group. Probably I'm going to try to keep my group sew-alongs to one, but we'll see. I could end up with more than that. God knows the way I do things. Now, this one that I am about to show you, it was supposed to have been started in January, but it has not been started yet. Had a lot going on in my personal life that is kind of starting to come to a head. It's getting a lot better. We found a resolution for everything, and then some medical treatment going on. Now, things are probably going to be continuing until midsummer, but they're getting to a place that I know what the resolution is. So that helps quite a bit in my stress level. I kind of lost my mojo, if the truth would be known, and it's coming back now. I'm going to be doing the stitch along with the Hands Across the Sea group on Facebook. And this is Maria Newsom. Now, she did, Hands Across the Sea has more than one pattern. They were done at different ages. I believe this one was at 13 years of age. She did this one. And the other one that they have, she did at 7 years of age. But anyway, so Maria Wales Newsom, we'll talk more about her history once we get to start the pattern. And this is going to be a 12-month sew-along. What I will insert here is the schedule for the sew-along, what we do each month. And that way you can think about if you want to do it and try to get caught up, or even start your own sew-along. You don't have to do ours. You could do a sew-along much like I do, where I create my own just so I know approximately when I'm going to get them done. Not everybody likes to do that, but I want to try that. So anyway, so this is the Maria Wales Newsom. I'm going to be using the called for DMCs, and also because she's got different conversions for different threads on here. And then I'm going to be using the they called for Tabby Cat lichen linen. At the time, if I would have waited, I would have had it very shortly after that. But at the time, these are the called for. There's a lot of colors in this. These are the called for threads. I did order these. I didn't take them out of my stash. I did order them from Fat Quarter Shop, and they all came in this bag. So I did not use the Tabby Cat lichen. I got a different lichen that was available at the time. If I'd have waited a couple of weeks, I probably would have been able to get it. But this is a Picture This Plus 40 count linen, and I got a half yard of it. Yeah, which I won't need quite that, but this is still quite a big piece. So I think that I'm not going to cut it yet. I'm going to wait till I get my frame done, and then I'll decide. So that's it. I did the color in the sample that shows up on the picture doesn't look as mottled as this, but other people that got their linen from Tabby Cat, some of them it was really mottled and some of it wasn't. I think it depends upon, since it's all hand-dyed linen, you never know. But I did a thread toss with it, and it actually looks quite nice. I did purchase as a separate purchase the, I'm going to put this together, I think this coming week, the project bag that she sells at Hands Across the Sea for this. And this is the inside lining of it. This is the this stripes is a binding. This panel right here is one of the alternatives she gives for this, for one of the front panels. Okay, and then this is the back of the fabric, the back of the bag. You can see it's that. Yep. Now the front of the bag. This is one of the panel alternatives that I told you about, top panel alternative. Beautiful things come together one stitch at a time. And then you can see the front panel has the birds, and then it also has got a picture of the actual cross stitch pattern on it. So I'm going to be getting that done. When you get your bag panels from her, they aren't the least expensive way to make bags out there, but they're really cute. They come on a heavier duty fabric. So I haven't decided. I normally like to use the Annie Soft and Stable, but I may just use regular floss on this because this is a heavier duty fabric. Now, this will be the only thing I stitch on for the month of March because I'm trying to get caught up on the stitch along. That's why I keep saying that my sewing schedule, my stitching schedule will not begin until April, because I'm going to be spending the month of March trying to get caught up on this. Okay, I'll fix that bag later. Okay, and then one of the other, that will be 1 week out of the month. I'll work on that every evening once I get it caught up. I think that'll be enough time to get it completed. Then another Tuesday through Friday in the evenings, I'll take a week for this one. And this is the Hello America book. This is from the Hello America book by Teresa Kogut. And I would love to collect every Teresa Kogut. And this is the one that I'm going to be starting on. And that should look out pretty nice. That will be, that one's called In God We Trust. And I'm going to be using DMCs. And the fabric that I'm going to be using on it is this one, Vintage Country Mocha. 40 count Newcastle linen from Zweigart. Turn it over. And I did a fabric toss once again. And I thought I'm going to be using DMCs from my stash. So those should be ready in a timely manner. This is the one, once again, In God That We Trust. In God We Trust. And I'll be spending a week on that out of it each month. Okay, now this is one of the ones I made a mistake in my cutting, so I am going to be waiting for fabric to come in. I'm not going to worry too much about it, though, because I will be able to use the fabric for another project. But for now, this one's on hold, so I'll probably pull something else in and work on it that month. Or if I'm still behind in April, I don't know if I'll have the fabric by April to fix my mistake. So I may pull something else in until I get it. But this is Celebration. There's a lot of people out doing this for our 250th anniversary. And I had it totally kitted up, and I cut the fabric wrong. So I will still have the threads, but I've got to get the fabric. So this will be getting put off. It comes with two different bonus patterns. This one, and then there's another one back here. It's the American flag at the top, and then it has Happy Birthday America. I don't really like that lettering, so I don't know if I'm going to do this or not, or I would replace the lettering with something else. But I really love this pattern, so we shall see what ends up happening. Meanwhile, yep, I totally cut it wrong, so it will not work for this project. And you guys know kind of what a big deal that is. So, a friend of mine told me she never cuts anymore until she gets the frame done. Well, not all of them come with a frame, but anyway, so that would be the third. We have In God We Trust. Then we have that, and then we have the one that I told you about that I'm going to be working on exclusively for the month of March. And then our fourth one, so this will be our fourth week of the month. We are going to be working on this one here, right here. And this is from the June 2006 Gift of Stitching magazine. And there were different versions of this one, and this is the version with the peacock in the center. This one's called The Mystery Sampler by Yvonne Horn of Papillion Creations, and it was from that magazine. I am using the called for DMC threads. And what I have got stitched on it so far is this first month, which is over on this side, and you end up with the tail of this peacock and then half of this wreath, and then you get a little bit of the snail missing down here, and then a pot for these flowers. That will actually be on a later week. The bottom of the snail and the flower pot is on down here with this question mark on another week. But when the month I'm about to start, I will do that. That will be in April. And then I did a flower over here, right here, that I absolutely just did not like. So I will be replacing that with another flower of the same size and same color threads and the same specialty stitches, so I can learn from it. So I'm going to show you my actual piece so far. And here it is. And remember, this is just that one corner would be, and then here's the wreath at the top, and that's that peacock's feathers. And you can see at the bottom the snake and the flower pot. So that section is done. And it's not perfect, but I'm really happy with the way. I think the colors are kind of dated a little bit, but yet the same token, I really like them. So that is the number 4 of the 4 of them that go into that time slot. And Saturdays, I like to do an art piece. And what I mean by an art piece is it's a reproduction of something that I consider art. And I would spend every Saturday morning and Saturday evening on this piece. And what I have going right now is this one, and it's from the 2006 September issue of the Gift of Stitching magazine, which it's a defunct magazine, but I bought the digital collection right before they closed down their website. But this is a feature pattern in that issue, Woman Sewing by Lamplight. It was charted by Stoyanka Ivanova of Solaria Gallery, and it was a charting of an piece of art originally done by Jean-Francois Millet. Now, I need to do some research on this picture to find out a little bit more about when he did the art, that type of thing. This is going to be 130 inches wide by 130 stitches wide by 160 high. And I think that I am going to use an 8-count Aida cloth that I have. 18-count Aida cloth that I have for it. That count would end up with the final stitch picture being 14 inch, excuse me, I'm having trouble tonight. Let's see, 7 1/4 inches by 9 inches. And so it's not a big picture no matter what you do it on. But here is the picture. See the child sleeping in the background, the lamplight, and the woman with her cloth on her lap and sewing. Just think it's really pretty. And that will be started in April. Once I get the 2026 Hands Across the Sea Stitch Along caught up. Now, I did not cover Sundays yet. And I'll tell you about Sundays now. Sunday mornings are going to be a faith-based piece. Right now, I have this Teresa Kogut pattern that is a whip. Psalms 91:11. For he will command his angels to guard you in all your ways. Psalms 91:11. And the called for fabric was Jude. What is his name? X Jude Designs, a 32-count charcoal linen. I didn't want to wait. I ended up going ahead because I couldn't get that, and a couple weeks later it popped up available, but I didn't have it at the time I was ready to start. So I was doing a stitch along challenge, and the challenge was to get it done in 1 month, which I didn't. I just, like I said, a lot happened about that time, so a lot of my stitching fell off. But anyway, but here is how much I got done of it. I want to talk to you a little bit. There are errors in it. It's not perfect, but I'm not unhappy with it. The only thing I can say is look at the contrast of how I don't think it was sewn with the same threads as what was recommended threads for the pattern. I mean, it may be. I know dye lots can be different, but look at mine. I did all of that stitching, but you cannot really see it. You can see some of the little squares every once in a while, but in general, they don't show up. And although it does give the dress some texture, but one thing I have learned from this is to always compare your threads side by side. And see, not just doing the thread toss, which is what I had been doing, but what I should have done for this pattern was compared my threads that were going to be mixed together like this in something like this dress or something where the differentiation was important, and put them side by side and make sure that they had enough contrast so that what you were trying to do show up, or a lack of contrast. Whatever the look is that you were trying to go for, are you going to get it with that? And obviously with the dress here, I didn't. And I'm not going to take it out at this point and get another thread. I'm just going to keep going on it because I think it's very pretty nonetheless. It's just a lot to do all that stitching, and it doesn't really show up. So that's my plan with that. That will be every Sunday. And I do stitch this in a frame, because I do find with this color of this Laguna, I need to stretch it out a little bit to see the threads. So now there is another one, and this is one of those stamped patterns. Those of you who've been watching, you know I got a lot of these for free or for almost nothing from a woman who was just getting stuff out of her house and destashing and things like that. I was going to use them initially to help and start cross stitching again to improve my stitches. But what they have ended up being is something that I use like if I go to a doctor's office and I don't really have to count. If I go over and watch TV with family, I can interact with the TV. I'm just not much into TV, so I can go over and interact with the television show because I can use my little jeweler's glasses and I can see above the glasses, and I can see to talk with them about the TV show or whatever it is we're doing. I'm using the threads that came with the kit, and here is what it is. It's a floral, and there's not a better picture than this. I do apologize. And you can see that it's just of lilac flowers and then some white ones and then a vase. So it's a still life. And it's not a very big one. Here it is. Now, I primarily like to work in corners. So I primarily worked in this corner, as you can see. I've been working on the background and starting into the purple flowers. And then you can see wherever I've used some of the same colors that I've gone ahead and stitched outside of that corner. So this is my take to doctor's offices, all of that stitch that I'm doing for right now. And I have other ones that I'll pull up once this one is done. So once you see a finish show up with this, then that will be done. Now, every Sunday evening, one thing I did not talk about is I'm putting together a string of things I want to kit up and get started, or that are already kitted up and ready to start, okay? One of the first ones is, and these will be things I'll pull in one by one and work on once a week until I've gone through the lineup, and then they'll go back through all over again. And this list could grow. So, but this one I've had in my stash for a long time. It was a free pattern I downloaded from somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where, but it says it's a Diana Bloom Designs, and it's called the Snowfall Chickadee. It's really cute. It's the stitch count is, can't see, I don't have my glasses, but 128 by 128. And it will be an 8 by 8 inch is what it looks like when you stitch it on 32 count fabric. So I don't know what fabric I'm going to use on it yet. It's calling for Roxy Floss Co. Pantone. So I don't know if I'm going to use a 32 count or what I'm going to use yet, but I think that I've got something in my stash that'll work for that. Another one that I already have partially kitted up. It's quite a popular pattern right now, but I cannot get the fabric for it. And so once the fabric is available, I will then be able to add it to the Sunday evening lineup of things that cycle through. And at some point, it'll move up into higher up into the actual schedule. But this is done by Lori Holt. A lot of people are doing it. Garden of Quilts, and there's different fabric that you can use for it, but I want to do the fabric it's called for because I like it so much in the picture, and it is Milk and Honey 36 count Edinburgh linen by Fiber on a Whim, and it's really not my budget to buy this fabric right now. It may not be till like May that this gets started. For that reason. So we'll see. And then I have I do have the called for threads. which are the Classic Colorworks threads, and it'll be my first time working with over-dyed threads. I'm a DMC gal, so here they all are. I'm not much for having my thread hanging down. I don't like but I just think it's messy. But so here it all is. And you can see some of them are fairly variegated. Some of them, there's barely any detectable variegation, but they're not shiny like DMCs are. So it gives it more of an old-fashioned look, I think. So I think that's what they're going for with this pattern. But yeah, I'm going to hold out for the 32 count fiber on a whim, Milk and Honey. And I have another pattern that's also calling for that. And neither one of them can I get that for. Now, the other one I didn't have any plans to do immediately, but this one I had wanted to start it up pretty quick because there's a lot of people doing it right now. Best laid plans of mice and men, right? This one I should be able to start up pretty quick. I hope I have the fabric. If I don't, then it'll be May or June till I get to start it. But this This is from the Hello Santa book by Teresa Kogut, and it's one of many of her. You know, she has the green coated Santa, which is this one, the gold coated Santa, just all kinds of colors. And this happens to be the green coated Santa, and some of them are individual patterns. Some of them are in books like this. Some of them are on her Facebook group, not Facebook group, her Patreon group. And but a lot of stuff in Patreon she usually releases at a later date. I think I'm going to use threads from my stash, except for the green coat. I think that using this called for over dye is pretty important to how this turns out. Is what it looks to me like. So that's how I'm going to do it. And I don't know what I'm going to do with fabric. It calls for green coat Santa, she calls it. It was originally stitched on 32 count linen. So I don't know if I'm going to do it on 32 count or 36. I want to look at the size of it because I'm planning on doing a pillow with it. What my plan is I will do the whole thing, except for I just won't do this black frame. And then I'll make the rest of this into a pillow. A little pillow, yeah. So I don't want it huge for that reason. But, so I don't know. It'll either be 32 or 36 count from my stash, except for I will use the called for on that coat. Okay. Now, this is one I want to move up into my number 4 pretty quickly. I started on it. I took it all out because my stitching looked terrible. And I also realized this is the second one I'd cut my fabric incorrectly for. What can I say? I'm also in 2027 going to be doing the quilt that goes along with this. I had planned on doing it in 2026, but I have too many quilts to do, more than I know I will ever get done. So, so the quilt will be in 2027 because it's a hand-appliqued quilt. So it'll be a lot of work. So in the meanwhile, I hope to get started on these. There's no hurry on them for me, but I do hope to get started on them. And this is the first one that I started with. And I am a person, I like to start from when I look at the pattern, what's on my left-hand side. And that's where I like to start. So that's probably what I'll do this time. Last time, I said, I'm going to start from the center just to experiment with it. And that isn't what made the mistakes. Yeah, the mistakes were just me and my stitching, but which have improved quite a bit. But that being said, I found I had cut the fabric wrong anyway. Now, I've got more of that fabric, so... but I do, right now, it'll be in this queue that we're starting to work on Sundays. But once I think it may be the first or the second one that gets moved up to the Tuesday through Friday evenings once I get it done. But here's what it looks like. And this will be fine for other projects. There's other pieces of it in my stash from the same one. And it is where some of the Zweigart Laguna was rebranded for Lori Holt so that would go with their projects. So it's called, so the Lori Holt version of it is called Farmhouse, and it is a 25 count Laguna. And it was before I'd even tried anything higher than a 25 count. But I'm still going to do all of these in the same count so that they look good on the wall. And the sample was done in that count, so, and it looks really cute. So, and I bought the pack, the thread pack from Fat Quarter Shop. So it's the called for DMCs. And she really didn't call for a different fabric, a different thread on that. I think all of those in that one were DMCs that she called for. Okay. Now, you guys remember the one that I'm doing is the sew along. When you are a member of Nicola Parkman's Hands Across the Sea Facebook page, a lot of times she gives you special deals or freebies. A lot of times she pops up free patterns, either small ones, or like right on February, she gave us a whole triple set of patterns that weren't so really small. They're full-size patterns that she uses in her school to help train people for stitching and learning about the history of stitching. And these were last used in her class that she put on this past year in Swindon, UK. And she came and gave them to our group for a February like Valentine's gift. All three patterns. It was wonderful. And then this pattern, she gave it to us, those of us that bought the 2026 Stitch Along, that were members of her group. She gave us this free pattern, which is a pretty cool deal. So that I'm planning on adding that in, and it'll be one of my first. I'm planning on doing some just all red smalls and adding those in at some point too. But this will be the first like a normal size sampler, and it's only 2 colors, so it won't cost a lot to get the silks and to learn how to use them. And I love that she created some patterns like that help us beginners in that way. Now this other one is a whip. A lot of my whips have been put away since I'm not planning on working on them this year. This was a Riolis pattern, or is a Riolis pattern. It's called Eastern Fairy Tale, and that I'm working on. And I got a little frustrated with the tail. I had barely started on the tail right in here. I've got this part mostly completed, although the back stitch is not completed on it. So it doesn't stick out like it will once the back stitching is done. And then I kind of started right in here on the tails. So you can see I'm barely started on this project. Now this is a Riolis pattern, 14 count Aida. It's a very nice soft Aida. The definite quality difference between that and say the Charles Craft and stuff is a big difference. It has anchor threads that came with it. The threads all came like this. I really loved the organization of that. And then here's my stitching so far. And everything is on this section, so I do need to get one of those boards everybody gets, though. And you can tell I got frustrated and stopped. I've got some frogging I'm going to have to do here on the tail. So the first time that this does come into the queue, that'll probably be what a lot of the night is spent on, is frogging. But that'll get it ready for the next time, right? So down into here, because it is pretty. And there's a doorbell that kind of goes, a bell hanger, is that what you call those? That I would kind of like to add into that. We'll see how that goes. Now, one more of these. And this one I think that I have everything for this one, so it could get added in reasonably quickly as well. If it comes, if it falls in my Sunday night. Oh, there's because I'm going to give these all numbers and then work on them in a numerical order is kind of what I'm going to do. Now this is, this year, I thought this year was the Jane Austen's 250th birthday, just like it's our country's 250th birthday. But guess what? It isn't. The her 250th birthday was last year. I'm a year late. And I kitted up a kit, and I got, a quilt, several other things, and I've got a big sampler. And I decided that when I figured out how off I was, that my big focus would be more on the 250th. I was going to try to divide it between the two, but I am going to do several Jane Austen things this year. And the first one is this one. And, one of her books was Pride and Prejudice. Those of you who don't know, she was an authoress from about 250 years ago, and they're primarily romance romance stories, but they're romance stories of that time, and so they're very romantic and nice and historical at the same time. So they're historical novels, but they were written during the time of that history. So, and one of them that she did, and they've all made really fabulous movies, and quite famous movies. Pride and Prejudice is one of them that you may have heard of. And I'm going to do this with called for fabric and threads, but I think that I'm going to change the lettering in these words so that they're all this color. I think they kind of get lost in the leaves and everything. So I'm going to just change them to all that color. Now, of course, some of this stuff that they've got to display it and take the photograph on the edges may have played a part in it looking that way. I don't really know. But we shall see. I will go ahead and throw in here. No, I'll delete that. So for right now, this is my start for Jane Austen, other than a quilt I'm going to be working hard on. And but there may be some others coming up there will be once these are done, and I'll introduce those to you once this is done. And that's all right now that I have in my schedule and queue for 2026. I have a lot of other things that I would like to get starts on, a lot of other patterns that I would like to purchase, but you know how that goes. And with it being Nashville, of course, there are some gorgeous ones out there. I'm really falling in love with the idea of doing historical samplers, but there are also some modern artists out there, and also primitive things. I think they kind of have an equal enjoyment in my mind and in my doing them, are primitive things and then reproduction samplers. But I am also like that whole can't remember who did them, with the Beatles, the Long and Winding Road, Strawberry Fields. I think there are a total of 4 or 5 in that series. So I want to get all of those. I want to finish getting the samplers that I showed with the teacup house and all of that. I want to finish that series. And there's a series by Robin Pickens that I did one of that series in a different form last year, and it had a lot of errors in it, but I still really liked it. And she made some bigger ones. They're bigger and longer. So I think instead of making more of them in this smaller series, I'm going to redo this one that was summer. They're in summer, winter, fall, and the series of the seasons of the year. So there's four of them. And I'm going to switch to the other size, because what it is the small ones are just a portion of the picture, and the entire picture is actually on the longer ones. So I decided I want to do all of those, so I'm going to get all 4 of those patterns. And there's a lot of faith-based ones I want to do. A lot of those are in kits. I don't find Teresa Kogut does a lot of faith-based ones, and they are just gorgeous. But anyway, so that is everything that I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to try to get all the little its and its and everything edited out, and then I'll try to get this posted tonight or tomorrow. My internet out here is just my phone service, and it is terribly, terribly slow. So the phone service is even slow out here. It's just, there's not one of the companies that does a great job with data out here. So anyway, and actually the internet out here is through one of the phone companies, through T-Mobile. So, and it was terrible. Part of it's my metal building that I live in, and that kind of makes phone service difficult. So that might have been a good deal of the problem. I don't know, but nonetheless, it takes forever to get anything uploaded. So I will get that done, and I also want to do a pattern parade. So those are coming up soon, because I changed my mind. It won't be all my books and stuff with patterns in it. Just, regular patterns that I have, or things that I have printed out that I want to do at some point. Who knows? Some of them are huge, huge projects, and we'll see. Now, there's another one that I want to add to my queue for getting started this year, and this is Teresa Kogut's Serenity. So I will put a picture of that right here. And so as I close out the video, you guys have a wonderful week, and a wonderful new upcoming month of March. And get out there and stitch. And please consider subscribing to my channel, and clicking on like and telling other people about it. I have some giveaways. I don't know if I'll ever monetize the channel. That's not my point. My point is being a part of the FlossTube community. I mean, it would be nice. It would help me on my retirement thing, but that's not my point. So it's not huge to me if I ever get monetized or not. But I would like to have the community to interact with. I have giveaways. As I get done with a pattern, I'd like to pass it on to someone within the community, that type of thing. So think about joining, and we'll talk to you later. Love y'all. Bye-bye.